Hello everyone and welcome to my Photos for Mac class. Today I'm going to be showing all of you at home how you can organize your photos by creating different types of albums. We're going to be going over editing techniques. We're going to show you how to make different creative projects like photo books, cards, calendars, and slideshows. I'm also going to end this class with going over a bunch of my favorite photography apps that are available for the iPhone and the iPad. Now, because we are going to cover so much information today, Mark and I want to help you all absorb that information. So what we've done is put together for all of you a really handy PDF guide. And you can get it by simply clicking on the link in the description of this video. Now, before we begin, I have a quick message for those of you who are watching this class on YouTube. Some people have been asking us to give them an option so they can download our classes so that way they can watch them on the go. Well, we've heard you, and I am very happy to announce that you can now do just that from our website at techtalkamerica.com. We are also going to start offering premium classes. Those are ones that you can only download on our website, which includes my brand new to Mac class, which is 2 hours long, goes over everything you could possibly need to know if you're a new to Mac user or just need to brush up on the basics. We're also releasing a class called Master Your iPhone and iPad. So to check out either of those, you can click on the button on your screen. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting what we do here at Tech Talk America. Let's begin the class. Hey everyone, welcome to the class. We have a ton of stuff to go over today. I am so excited to do this class. I just want to say a very quick thank you to all of my fans for allowing me to do what I do for a living. It's really incredible and I'm just so damn grateful. So today we are going to try to hit it out of the park for all of you. Okay, this is a free class. It's open to everyone out there. We are going to create an incredibly dynamic PDF for all of you to enjoy. It's interactive. So if you just want kind of that handy dandy little guide to have next to you during this class, we've got it there for you. Make sure you get your copy. It's going to be in the description of the video. So make sure you check that out. In addition to going over photos today, we are going to be covering a few other apps that are all photography related. Most of those are all on the iPhone or iPad. So I'll give you links to all that stuff, of course, in that PDF. I'm also going to be going over how to resolve some of the more common issues that I've seen a lot of my clients encounter over the years within photos. Of course, back in the day it was iPhoto, but a lot of those original issues are still there for some reason. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are wondering, because I know a million people are going to mention it in the comments, if you look at the desktop right now, you may notice that it's changing. This is one of my favorite apps for the Mac. It's called Magic Window. This is the 4K quality version. If you're interested in that, we did a whole class on it, so you can click on that box if you want to check out that class. That's a separate video. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to start off with addressing one of the more common issues that I've seen people go through at some point in time, which is how to resolve a corrupted library file. Now, for some of you, I'd like to welcome you to gather your brain because some of you just had your head explode when I said that. What was he talking about here? Huh? What? A corrupted library file is basically what happens when the database file that organizes all of your photos has something go wrong. I've seen it happen quite a few times. People tend to freak out over this issue. If you have not gone through it before, I still encourage you to pay attention because if it does happen to you, and it's not that unlikely that it may happen at some point in time, you want to know how to resolve this issue, okay? So if you ever have a problem, here's what it's likely. Let me give you the symptoms. A corrupted library file will come in the form of photos that are not there, that should be there, or you go to open a photo and it's just blank. If that describes your situation, hello, how you doing? My name's David. The way you resolve it is you have to be quit out of Photos. Notice it is not running right now in the background on my computer. You're going to hold down on your keyboard the Command key and the Option key when you go to click it open. And voila, check out that little screen there, Repair Library. So for some of you, I just made your day. The other very, very common issue that a lot of people go through at some point in time is duplicates. Don't worry, we're going to cover it just later because it does use a different app. Okay, so you just hit repair in this case. You'll have to put in your password and wait a few minutes. In this case, I don't have a lot of photos here, so there you go. It's done. The other issue I want to just address really quickly before we actually dive into the app So for those of you who have been using Photos and before that iPhoto, maybe even Aperture at some point in time, which is a different app, if you have used a lot of these apps for a while, there is a potential issue that you could encounter where you have multiple photo libraries. If that is the case, you may want to consider merging them. I know some people, especially professional photographers who shoot things like weddings, a lot of them were always told that the best way to organize your photos is to keep a different library for each wedding. For that kind of thing, I understand it. But for normal people, I tend to recommend that they merge all of those libraries into one. The software that you're going to use to do that is the same software that we are going to be covering in a little bit to discuss duplicates. Now, if you want to find out if you even have this issue, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to hold Option, just Option, no command, just Option, click on Photos. Hey, check that out. See how there's 2 items there? We got duplicate libraries, folks, so that would be an indication of an issue. I set that one up, so I cheated. Let's just open this one and get to Photos. The first thing I would like to recommend to all of you, this is purely a preference. I find that a lot of my clients and I myself do not love this way of viewing photos. So you can see here we have these tabs. We have Photos, Shared, Albums, Projects, okay. I don't love tabs when it comes to photos. I love tabs for the web, but not so much for photos. So if you happen to agree with me on this one, or if you're just doing whatever I tell you, go here to View and go to Show Sidebar. It's the 5th item down. Isn't that better? More like iPhoto. That's nice. Okay, next. We're going to talk a little bit about preferences here very quickly. So let's go into where it says Photos at the top left. We're going to go into the 2nd item down, which is Preferences. And we only have 2 tabs to deal with here. Basically, the way that it has it here is pretty much good to go out of the box. The only possible one here is motion. This is just going to, if you have this checked, it's going to give you slightly better performance, really, really minimal. Okay, so you can do that if you want. Library location. The reason why I wanted to mention this is I want to describe to all of you so you have a basic understanding of how this app works from the back end. And I'm going to do this in a way that doesn't use terminology. When you snap a photo and you bring it into the Photos app, okay, in the guts of the app, there is a folder that you can't see called Masters. And so every photo has a master. Then when you edit it, which could mean just simply cropping or color correcting or just tweaking the hell out of it, okay, it's going to create essentially a duplicate. So I like to bring this up because one of the most common mistakes I see people make when they go to buy a new device is they don't get enough storage. That would be those gigabytes. I'm kidding, gigabytes, or in some cases, terabytes. Okay, you need a good amount of storage on your Mac, your iPhone, and your iPad these days. When I'm working with clients, I never, ever recommend the base model to anyone because even if you just do a little bit with photos, keep in mind the quality of those photos now with the iPhone and the iPad has gone so much through the roof compared to the original iPhone. They take up a lot more space, and I don't think it's unreasonable to make the assumption that when they come out with new iPhones and new iPads, those are going to be even higher quality photos. So you need the extra space. That's my spiel on that. Next one we have here is iCloud. This is one of the most difficult topics for me to discuss because it's different for everyone. So bear with me, hunker down. I'm going to do my best and probably still fail. iCloud Photo Library, if you have that checked, it is going to upload your entire photo library to the cloud. I tend to recommend this option for most people on their computers, okay? Not everyone should use it on their phone or their iPad, especially if you have a lot of photos. And by my definition of a lot, that's over 5,000. I think I have about 11,000 at this point in time. But I've worked with people who have over 250,000. So when you enable iCloud Photo Library, it's uploading those photos to the cloud. The cloud is basically a bunch of computers that are probably in North Dakota or somewhere where there's really not many people. So it's going to send a copy of that information to those magical computers out there in that field. And what it means is that if your computer is ever destroyed, if something happens, theoretically you can buy a new computer, sign into iCloud, and get back all of those photos. By the way, the other way you can access this same data is by going to iCloud.com. You can sign in through the web and have access to pretty much everything. So I like to bring that up because that has to deal with these two options here, okay? I said that for most people, I absolutely recommend using iCloud Photo Library on their computer. In fact, I have trouble trying to remember the last time I didn't recommend that. Then you have these two options here. You can either download the originals to the Mac, which is a great idea if you have the space, or you can just simply download an optimized version. What this means is it's a slightly lower resolution of the photo. The original is still in iCloud. And what I'd like to remind you all about iCloud is that it is dirt cheap. Okay? To go from 5 gigabytes, which is what everyone gets for free, to 50 is $1 a month. I think at this point I pay, I want to say $2.99 for 200 gigabytes because I've got a few more photos. So if you are running low on space, you may want to go with the optimized version. If you're good on space, go with the originals. Can't figure out which one? Let me show you briefly. Apple icon, top left of your Mac, second item down. First item about this Mac. From there, storage. And this is the graph that you're going to use to make that determination. So I have a very large computer, okay? I have a 3 terabyte hard drive. Most of you probably don't have that. So if you're kind of up here in this critical zone where you have, pretend this is a 0 to 100% over here. If you're at around 80%, okay, or higher, your Mac is not going to run as well as it would had you had less than that free. If you had more than that free, rather. So just know that if you're over 80% filled, you may want to consider going with the optimized version. There's another thing I need to mention. I'm sorry if it's off topic, but it's important that we go over this, especially for those of you who are enabling this for the very, very first time. There's a very strange feature. I don't know why it exists. It seems to only be in Photos. There might be 1 or 2 other apps that I'm not aware of, but in pretty much every app on the Mac, okay, like let me just use Pages here as an example. I'm just opening a new document. Okay, see that red dot? Okay, that red dot means close. That's what it means. Close and quit are 2 different things. So if I close it, notice it still says Pages at the top left. It's still running. I could go to File and I could create a new document, okay? But it's still running in the background. With Photos, when I hit that red dot, it's quit. You know that because if you look at the icon right here, if it were running, there'd be a black dot underneath it. Notice no black dot. So I like to bring that up because when you first go to upload all your photos to iCloud Photo Library, it's going to take a long time. If you hit the red dot to close Photos, it stops the upload process. See where I'm going with all this? So if you are doing this for the very first time, just minimize it, let it do its thing. Okay, you can let it run overnight if you need to, but it's important that you get those initial copies in the cloud. Okay, end of spiel on that. Next one we have here is Photo Stream. This is very handy to have definitely on your phone or your iPad. And what it means is that your most recent photos, okay, they're going to come in through iCloud. So you're going to have them there. It holds up to 1,000 photos. I want to say it's for 30 days. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it is 30 days. The next one we have here is iCloud Photo Sharing. Not a lot of people use it. Okay, it allows you to collaborate with other people on albums. It can be kind of cool in certain situations. The one little word of warning about this, there's no subtle way to say this. If you tend to take photos that maybe you wouldn't like certain people to see, you may not want to check that option just for your own security sake. I should say for your own butt's sake. Just very quickly, I do want to say about the iCloud library that I didn't mention before. I would consider that iCloud Photo Library is a decent second backup. I would not consider it a first backup. I tend to think that something as important as your photos should have a backup on a hard drive. The best way to do this is through Time Machine. We have a whole class on it. I will give you a link to it in the PDF if you need to learn more about that or need a suggestion for a hard drive to back it up to. Okay, next topic. I want to go over organizing your stuff, okay? So there are tons of different ways that you can organize your photos, and everyone has their own preference. I want to show you how I do it and how I tend to recommend that people do it. It's a combination of a few different items. Albums, smart albums, and folders. So let's go over how those all work and the difference between them. So all of them you access through the File menu, and you'll see them all right here, okay? So a folder does not contain photos. A folder contains albums, which contain photos, but a folder itself does not actually contain photos. A lot of people get mixed up on the terminology there, so I just like to clarify the difference. There are no actual photos within a folder. The folder contains an album that has photos. Smart album. What the heck is a smart album? Well, what you can do is you can create a series of terms and conditions that if the photo meets those terms and conditions, it goes into that album. So let's say I want to have a way of finding all of my photos from 2013, go back a few years, right? Well, what I could do is I could go here and I can hit New Smart Album, and I can name it whatever I want. So I'm just going to type in 2013. And then here are the terms and conditions. So if the date is in the range of January 1st of 2013 to December, hit the wrong key. No. December 31st of 2013, 8 photos matched those terms and conditions. So I hit OK, and if you look over here on the side, see it says 2013. There you go. Those are all the photos that I shot in 2013. So that is one way to create and organize your photos into an album, is to create a smart album. The next method is probably my preferred method, which is a just normal empty album. Notice there are two options here actually, new album and new empty album. If you are clicked on photos in the background, if you click on this first option, it's going to include them. So I'm just going to do new empty album because it's safer. Okay, and I'm just going to call this album my best photos. And this is also one way to sync data to your, for example, iPhone. If you don't have a lot of free spaces, you can just create an album with very, very specific photos and just manually sync over that one album. So it's created over here, best photos. It's currently empty because there's nothing in it. We're going to go back to the photo library by clicking up here. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to drag and drop photos from the photo library into this album. At this point, some of you may want to skip ahead. Probably my guess is about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Others of you may need to watch this part. We need to talk about how to select multiple objects because this is a basic class and I need to make sure that everyone's on the same level. If you didn't know how to do this, okay, you can tell the computer to do something to a bunch of somethings all at once. There are 3 and sort of a half ways to do this. The first method is individual selection. Okay, so individual selection, it's going to be completely random. So if I want to include this photo and maybe this photo but not these two, what I could do is I click on the first one, and now I'm just going to hold down on my keyboard the Command key. For many of you, that's going to be to the left or right of your spacebar. Not all of you. So I'm just clicking on random images here, okay? And see how there's a little blue box? It means it's selected, but I'm not really going in any special order here. So then what I can do is I've now let go of the Command key, and I can click and drag any one of these. And when I start to drag it, see that little red number 7 there? Okay, I'm not moving one photo. I'm moving 7 photos. And I'm going to drag it and drop it right into that album, and voila, there they are. That is the first method. That is individual selection where you just hold Command. The second method is a list. So this through this. The way you do that is click on the first, hold the Shift key, and click on the last. And now when I go to move them, I'm moving those 5. Next method, third method, is everything. Okay, if you ever need to select everything, Command A, as in Apple. So now I'm dealing with all however many photos I've got going on here. Okay. You heard me say 3.5. Here's the reason why I say 3.5. Let's say I'm selecting all of these photos here, but I don't want that one. Okay. Holding Command and clicking on a photo that's already highlighted will individually select or deselect it. So now I'm moving all of these images except that one. Okay. For those of you who just came back, welcome back. So that's how you move individual photos into an album. Just drag and drop them in there. You can put, pretty much as many as you want. I think there actually is a cutoff. I want to say it's, I could be wrong, I believe it's 5,000 photos per album. I could be wrong. So that is a little bit about how to organize. There's a few other options that we have here. Faces is one of them. So your Mac has built-in facial recognition technology. How well it works, well, that's a different story. I've been told by my computer that I apparently resemble a lawn gnome, which does great things for your ego, by the way. Thanks for that. So click Get Started, and what you can do is click on these faces. We'll just use moi as an example. Double click, sorry. And you can add that person's name. So David, okay. Did you see how the name popped up? So what that indicates is that that person, that contact, is in my contacts, or address book as it was formerly known. So one of the reasons why this can be cool is if you have people who are in your contacts and then you identify them in the photos, what will happen is when they go to call your iPhone, instead of just seeing their name appear, you'll see their photo. Okay? So you can click on that and continue. So you can go through and do that for the people in your library. Okay? Next here we have a shortcut to last import. So just it's always going to show you the last thing that you brought into your computer. It's just a nice handy way to have access to this stuff. Selfies. Your phone does detect when you are shooting it with the front-facing camera, so it considers that a selfie. Videos. This is actually a funny video. You'll see it later. That's me being a total goofball, which is so rare for me. Recently deleted. This is an important one to go over. When you delete a photo from Photos, it does not immediately delete. It will actually stay on the computer for between 30 and 40 days. I don't know why it's just not, they don't just solidify and say 30 days, but if you actually look up here, it says this can take up to 40 days. So what this means is that if you go through your computer today or tomorrow and you do a spring cleaning job, you might want to consider going here into recently deleted and click delete all at the top right corner. That way it just kind of clears all that stuff out. Okay? Now there's a few other albums here by default that you will start to see appear as you start to use it. I'm going to give you one of them right now. So in organizing your photos, sometimes it's not that I need to put them in an album that I'm going to hold on to forever. Sometimes I just need kind of a reference guide. As an example, when I'm shooting photos with my aerial drone, I will take, maybe 20 photos, but I'll only publish 1 or 2 of them. So one of the ways that I use this, the way I use this feature for tagging, is I use favorites. And the way you do this is you go through your photos, okay, and you can do one of 2 things. So when I put my cursor over this photo, it might be a little bit hard to see. Let me use a different photo. I'll use this one here. There's a tiny heart at the top left corner. You only see it when you have your cursor on top of the photo. If I move it away, it disappears. If I click on that heart, notice we have a new category here called favorites. Okay, so I can click on favorites and voila, there is that photo. So that can be really handy when you're just needing to kind of process photos and go through them and just really find the best ones. Okay. Another thing I want to mention while we're talking here about albums, I'm going to use this photo here as the example because I know it's at the top of the list. If you delete a photo from an album, you do not delete it from the computer. Okay, it is still located in the photo library, which is right here. Whenever I say photo library, that's this top option right here. So if I hit delete right now on that photo, it's gone. But if I go to photos, it's still there. So I just like to make sure that all of you are aware of that part. Let's see here, going through my notes. The next thing that we're going to be talking about, oh, by the way, when you're dealing with favorites, I didn't mention that. Okay. When you're going through favorites and you're done kind of processing everything, you may want to clear your favorites. So what you can just do is you can just simply hit the period key again and it goes bye-bye. Still on your computer, it's just removed from favorites. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to talk for a little bit about editing. I know a lot of you wanted to have me go over this part here. Let me just find the right photo to deal with for this part. I need one that's not already processed, and I have one ready for you. Where is it? It's right here. Okie dokie. So if you double click on a photo, it goes to take up the whole screen. I'm actually going to go into full screen mode right now by clicking the green dot at the top of the left. If you ever need to get out of this, you can just hit the escape key. Okay, and when I put my cursor at the top right, we get the edit button that comes down, and we're going to start editing. So here are our tools on the right-hand side, and a lot of people seem to not be aware of there's a few features here that could be seen as hidden that I'm going to show you how to get access to. The first one right here is Enhance. It's a one-click, hey, photos, what do you think is going to make this photo look better? Many times it's just going to deal a little bit with the shadows, the contrast, saturation, that's about it. So if you click on it, you can just kind of see how it does. Actually, it just brightened me up a little bit there. Nothing too big. If you ever need to step back in time, keep in mind you have Command Z as your undo button. So Command Z goes back a step. The next one we have here is Rotate. If you want to do this faster, you can hit Command R. Command R will rotate. Now that I've made you all sick. Crop is your next key, and there's a few features in here that you may or may not be aware of. So the first one is this dial here on the right-hand side. So that is to straighten the photo. There is an auto straighten feature. It doesn't work perfectly. Okay, so I usually like to do this manually. But the way this works is you just click and drag this dial, and if you look at the sides of the photo, you can kind of see what it's really doing here. In order to keep it the same perspective, it's cropping the photo at the same time. Okay, because otherwise it would be this sort of diamond-shaped photo. Okay, so if you need to straighten it at all, that's how you can do it. I like to use the horizon as my guide if I can see the horizon. Down here at the bottom, we have a way to make it a very specific aspect ratio. This really comes in handy if you are going to print this image. So let's say I'm going to turn this into a 4x5. I can click on aspect, and I'm sorry, 5x7 is what I meant to say. Click on 5x7, and it adjusts the cropping so that it's that aspect ratio. Now, if I need to move this photo around, okay, because right now I'm kind of here towards the bottom of the photo, I can click in the middle and drag it, and I can move it around. It's going to keep that same aspect ratio, but I'm just changing, where it's going to focus on. The next option here is flip. So if I want to be looking the other way, that is one way to do it. Now you can grab any corner at this point while you're in crop, and you can manually change, where it's going to go. Hold on, I need to undo the aspect ratio part so I can show you this. Custom. Okay. So I can change up the cropping of this photo any way I want. Okay. Looks like it's still locking in. Come on, custom. Freeform. I'm sorry, that's what I meant to do. Okay, so I can kind of twist it around. I can make it any shape I want. I'm just going to go to the original. Now, if you want to keep the aspect ratio the same, okay, and just kind of trim it down a little bit, the other trick that you can do is you can hold the Shift key, and notice if I try to move my cursor, it's locking that aspect ratio. So that is another way to do it. Next button that we have here is for filters. So when we go into filters here, these are just kind of one click. You can see what it does to your photos. Keep in mind, if you don't like it, you can always either go back to none or Command Z. So we can see it in mono mode, tonal, noir. I love noir. Fade, chrome. That doesn't look good on scan. Process, transfer, and instant. So you can see it really changes up the look of the photo. I'm going to keep it on none for now. The next one we have here is adjust. Okay. Now, this may look different for many of you. Hold on a second. Let me reset it. For a lot of you, it's going to probably look like that. Okay. So a lot of people were frustrated when Apple came out with photos because they thought, oh man, there's like so many other features that I used to be able to tweak that now I can't. You can. They're a little bit hidden, but don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do it. So with any of these slide bars here, you can click and drag, and it's going to just change up, in this case, the light, the color. If you go down here, it's going to instantly turn it black and white. Okay. And that can be cool if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, if you want to get a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of this, notice that there's also an arrow when you roll your cursor over each of these features. So for light, when I click on that little arrow, it drops it down, and now I can tweak the exposure, highlights, shadow, brightness, contrast, and black point. And with all of these, they're all slide bars. You just drag it back and forth, and get it to the way you like it. Or Command Z if you need to step back in time. There's also way more than just this, okay? So if I put this back up, I can go here to Add, and there's all of these extra features here. So I can deal with sharpening it, changing the definition, noise reduction, vignette, white balance, levels, okay? And if you want to save it as the default, you'd add whichever features you care about and then hit Save as Default. So I'm going to add a few of these items here. For example, I'm going to add in vignette for a moment because I want to show you something here that you may or may not know. Here's another example where you probably thought it was just click it and see how it looks. You know, there is strength here, so you can deal with that. But once again, what if you want to really get in there? We have that arrow. When we click on it, you can change the radius of the vignette. So see, it's just completely changing the look. And you can change the softness or hardness of that vignette. Okay? We also have access to white balancing at this point here. This is probably not the best photo for me to use for white balancing. What you're essentially doing is you're giving the computer a mathematical equation of what is white as a number, as a color code. So to do this, what you would do is you'd click on this little dropper icon, okay? And what you do is you choose a natural gray in the photo to set its white balance, okay? It does, I find it actually does a pretty good job of this, just doing it automatically. So I don't have like a ton to work with here, but if I click, you should hopefully see how it changes. Let me choose something that's a little bit off. So did you see that, how it changed the whole color tone of it? Suddenly it got very cooler, okay? Well, that's one of the things you can tweak. Next thing we're going to talk about is retouching. That's why I went with this photo in the first place. There are two different ways to retouch a photo. You can just tell it to kind of try to blur it out, or you can clone. They don't use the word clone, but I say the word clone because that's what people who use Photoshop are used to thinking. Also stamp, basically similar things. So when you're dealing with retouching a photo, this is perfect for anything like acne or, story of my life, wrinkles. It can be an ingrown hair, it can be a mole, whatever it may be, and you can tweak it, okay? So what I'm going to do with this case is I'm going to zoom way into the photo, which is always so flattering. So the way to do this, if you have a laptop, you can just actually spread your fingers on your trackpad, or you can use this little sidebar here. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. You can just spread your fingers and zoom in, okay? So in this case, if I go over here to my eyebrow, you can see here there's a little teeny tiny zit right there. So I'm going to get rid of it. Now, if you just simply click, okay, and just kind of paint over it, it's going to sort of blur it. I don't like that because to me that looks touched up, okay? Now that one's pretty minor, but if it was something bigger, if it was like my whole forehead, it's just going to look odd. So instead, what you might want to consider doing is you can use the, again, clone stamp. So I'm going to undo what I just did. And to do this, you're going to hold the Option key on your keyboard and see how it turns into a crosshair at this point? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the area that I want it to sample. So I'm going to essentially clone that area right here. So I'm just going to click and it's gone. So you still have the detail there, but it doesn't look touched up. Okay. The other thing I want to mention, this is actually the same in Photoshop, is if you want to change the brush size, you can use the bracket keys on your keyboard. So I can make it bigger by choosing the one that points sort of to the right and the other one to make it smaller. Okay. So if I want to maybe perfect my no real sideburns here, I can just sample an area here. You get the idea, right? Okay, so that is a little bit about how you can touch up a photo. Now below that we have extensions. We're not going to be covering extensions today because it just kind of would open it up to so much more and I don't want to overwhelm people completely. So we're not going to cover extensions today. Plus I think a lot of the apps that I'm going to recommend to you tend to do just as good a job. Okay, so we're done with that. Let's get out of here. So I'm going to go to the top and click Done. Double click on it to reduce the file size. Okay, so we're done with editing at this point. What we're going to do at this stage is I want to go over some of the different projects that you can make with your photos. Now, these are really cool, so you can make several different types of projects. And I'm just going to highlight a bunch of photos so I can show you here what's available. At the top right corner of photos, you have this plus symbol. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and here are the things. So this is another way that you can create an album or smart album. I tend to prefer the other method I showed you. But you can also create physical items like a book, a calendar, card. You can also have your photos printed, or you can create a slideshow. We're going over all of those today, so buckle up. The first one we're going to talk about is a book. Now, when you're going to be creating a book, you need to tell it what photos you want to use. So there's different ways that you can do this. You can individually select them by holding the Command key. You could put them into an album. Or you don't even really actually need to start with anything. You can start blank and add them as you go, which is fine, and that's actually what I'm going to do today. So I'm not clicked on any photos. I'm going to that plus symbol, and I'm going to hit New Book. There are 3 different types of books: square, classic, and soft cover. I tend to recommend the first 2. The soft cover just for me doesn't quite do it. If you're going to create a photo book, create it right. Square, classic. So for today's purposes, I'm going to go with a square book. It's a little bit different. So I'm going to do a 8x8, and you can see it comes with 20 pages. That's double-sided. If I want to go above 20 pages, I can add an additional page for 79 cents for every additional page. And all the other pricing information is right there. So let's click on that. If this is the very first time you have ever gone into this page, it may take a few minutes to load because it's going to be downloading these templates from the cloud. They don't actually come on your computer. And if you open it up and nothing loads, it's probably because you're not connected to the internet. So here we have a whole bunch of different types of albums. Keep in mind, these are all templates. Okay. With a photo album, personally, I like things really clean and simple. Okay, so I'm going to go with, let's see. There's a couple different really nice templates here. I think I'll do this portfolio one because I can see it's already downloaded. So I'm just going to double click on it. 1, 2. And so it's kind of given me this general layout at this point. So, and that's because, and you'll see that there's no photos here because I didn't select any photos. So at this point, what I probably would want to start off with doing is I'm going to probably want to name my project. Okay, so if you go over here on the side, see it says projects. Okay, I'm just going to click once on that, see how it's highlighted. It's light blue. Anytime text is light blue, you can type over it. So I'm just going to call it Droning Provincetown, which for those of you who don't know is one of my Facebook pages for all of my drone work. Well, it is my Facebook page. What am I saying? So what's cool about the way that this works is you can take your time as far as adding photos. You don't have to do it all at once. So I want to start off with a really strong photo, and that strong photo is going to probably be the cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up here to Photos, and I'm just going to go through here and try to find what is my best photo. I just shot this one the other day. I love it, so I'm going to add that into the book. The way you do it is just click and drag it and drop it right on top of it. So now when I come in here, see at the bottom it has a little thumbnail. I can drag that and drop that on the cover, just like that. Now, because this has a sleeve, there's a second part here for the flap. So for that, I'm going to probably want a photo of myself. So let's find, where's that? I like that one, but I like the normal version, the non-crazy version. Oh, actually, let's do this one, me with the drone. For those of you who don't know, I name my drones. That is Patty LeDrone. So let's drag that and drop it right here into Droning Provincetown. I'm going to drag my photo on top of that right there. And if I were to double click, okay, now I get to the part where I can start to add in the text. So I can click on this and I can type over it. Cool, right? Now, what if you don't really love the setup here? Like, it's like, maybe I want it to be, somehow different. Well, first of all, I want you to notice that up here at the very top right, we do have a text option. Okay, so if I want to change this to a different font, I can highlight it just as if I were in a Word or a Pages document, and I can change it to I love Evener as a font, but I don't love that type. Let's just do the ultralight. Very, very simple. Maybe a little too much, but anyways, you get the idea. Now, if you look here, when I'm clicked on either of these, because we have two boxes here. We have the cover and we have the flap, okay? With each of these, there are option buttons underneath them. And these option buttons allow you to change the formatting. So you can still stay within one template and use a different style. So for example, I could switch it to this, where it's got this little white border around it. Or I can place the text at the top right, okay? Or I could put it, like that. So these just give you a ton of different options as far as how you want it to look for you. I actually kind of dig that right there. That's pretty cool. Same thing goes for over here. Okay, so if I'm clicked on the photo itself, I can, put in any of those effects right there. But if I just click on the flap, by default, I have this one here with just a photo. But what if I want to put a little bio? I just click over here, and now I can replace this. This is called lorem ipsum. You can replace it with your own text. You don't want to keep it that way. It's by the way, for those of you who thought it was Latin, it's not Latin. It's a fake language that was created. So that's how you do that. Now, when you want to move on to the next page, you can, from here, very easily just use your arrow keys on your keyboard. Okay, so we have a blank page here, and then room for a photo. So let's go back to photos for a moment. And let's actually grab more than one. I'm going to grab both of these photos here. I'm going to drag those and drop them into Droning Provincetown. So I go back here to page 1. But you know what? I don't want one photo there. I want to go into options. I want to change it up. I want to make it 2 photos. So what I want to show you here is the fact that you can really customize these books to look however you like. And the quality of Apple's printing is phenomenal. Very, very big fan. A lot of people I know tend to do this during the holiday season. It's something that's cool and customized and not bought in a store, So I encourage you to create books. They're really awesome, and they're not that expensive, especially when you consider the quality. So that's creating books. The next thing that we're going to create here, what is the next item, is a calendar. And there's a few little things I want to show you here. So what I want to do is I'm actually going to grab a couple of photos at this point. So I'm just going to highlight them for now. I'm going to go to the plus symbol, and I'm going to go to create a new calendar. So it's going to ask me how many months. Last time I checked, there's still 12, at least in our calendar. Start on January 2016. Well, it is already 2016, so I'll make it for 2017. Okay, and I'm going to hit continue. Oh, by the way, I should probably mention, go back a page. Okay, let's cancel that out. I want to mention this real quick. Calendar. So when you hit select, once again, we're going to be brought to a template chooser. You can select which template you want to use. So with the calendars, in my opinion, I tend to be a fan of Big Date. It's a very, very clean design. So let's double click on it. So here we have, once again, a generic layout. You can tweak it however you like. So if I go here into the cover, okay, if I had already selected photos, I can drag them in here, or I can go back to my photo library. I'll grab this one here and just drag it into the Untitled calendar. Oh, by the way, you may want to, once again, name it. So click onto this, and I'm just going to call it calendar. Go here into the cover, and I'm going to drag and drop my image just like that. Okay? If you want to change the text, it's the exact same way you do it as you would do it in a book. There is one additional feature, though, here that I do want to show you, because I don't think we need to do everything again that we just did. Something kind of cool for those of you who, I think, especially those of you who have a significant other. Okay, so this is obviously not a normal photo. This is a very heavily tweaked photo using an app that I'm going to show you later. This is my folks, a very distorted version of my folks, but it's still them. I'm going to drag that into calendar. Here's what I want to show you. So let's say that my parents' anniversary, I'm going to go here into January. Let's say that my parents' anniversary is January 25th. it's not. Instead of typing into this date and putting mom and dad's anniversary, one of the options is you can drag and drop a photo on top of the date. Just kind of a cool way to do birthdays, anniversaries, that kind of thing. If you want to get a little bit creative, you can, take the holidays, like maybe Halloween, and drop a pumpkin on top of it, something like that. So I wanted to show you that feature there. You can also type into any of these dates, and it'll be pre-printed for you. You can also have it import data from your calendar. So that's kind of a cool feature. So when I go here, into the settings, see how it says here, show national holidays? Okay, I can set that to United States. So it's going to add the holidays onto the calendar. I can have it show birthdays if those birthdays are already in my contacts. Kind of a cool feature here. What you might want to consider doing, if you haven't already done it, is if you use Facebook, you can actually export your friends' birthdays from Facebook and put it into your calendar. That is one very, very easy way to do it. You can also have it show your pre-existing calendars, okay? So you can bring that in there. I don't have any events scheduled currently for 2017, which is, as of right now, more than 6 months away. You can include the Apple logo. Yeah, don't do that. And if at any point in time you change your mind, you don't like this theme, you can hit change theme, just like that. Okay. So that is a little bit about creating calendars. Once again, they look phenomenal. I encourage you to check it out, especially come the holiday season. Next thing that we're going to be going over here are cards. The cards are I feel like I'm repeating myself, but they are phenomenal. I'm going to use this image right here. This is an image that I painted on my iPad using a little app called ArtRage. For those of you who are curious, we're going to hit the plus symbol. I'm sorry, we're going to hit the plus symbol. We're going to go to card this time. There are three options here: letterpress, and what a letterpress letter is it has texture to it. So it's just kind of a fancier version. I've ordered, I believe, all of these. I tend to use either of these two options here, but the folded options and the flat options are also very good. The prices do include the envelopes. So for now, let's just do a simple letterpress one. Once again, it can take some time to download those themes, those templates to your computer. Okay. I'm going to use this one for now. I'm just going to double click on it. And there you go. So you can tweak this. You can, go into options. You can see in the case of the cards, there aren't usually as many options. In this case, because it's letterpress, you can't switch it. But you can change the text, put whatever you want. Okay. And then when you're done, you can hit the right arrow to go to the inside of the card. And so, of course, all of these are going to get switched up. They do have a couple of different templates in here. So they have one that's all text, like that, where up here you'd have, it'd just be, like that. Okay, so you can kind of play with that. Once again, letterpress letters are very cool. They're not the cheapest. They're $2.99. Still probably not that far off from what you'd pay at your local grocery store or CVS or whatever. So that's a little bit about creating cards. And there's a ton of different templates that you can play with there. The next item that we're going to be talking about here is a fun one. We're talking about slideshows. Okay, so slideshows can be accomplished many different ways. This is one of them. Now, you can create a slideshow in Photos. You can also create a slideshow in iMovie. If you would like to customize it so you have different transitions, really where you want to have anything custom, that is where iMovie is going to do a better job, and it does come with your computer. So I'm going to show you two different ways that you can create a slideshow using Photos. One is instant slideshow, and the other involves a little bit more customization. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my best photos album here. Let me actually drop just a couple of more photos into that. So give me 2 seconds here. Let me just grab a few here. I think I already got all those. Okay. And I'm going to drag those and drop those into best photos. So the first way is instant. Okay, just create an instant slideshow. And to do that, what you can do is you can go here to this play button at the very top right, and you can hit play slideshow. So from here, we have different themes that are built into your Mac. Ken Burns, origami, reflection, sliding panels, vintage prints, classic, and magazine. Personal opinion, I'm a big fan of the traditional Ken Burns look. So for those of you who don't know who Ken Burns is, he kind of coined the style. He did not invent it, but he did kind of coin it, where it's going to slowly zoom in and zoom out of the images. It's a very relaxing way to do it. It's a little bit more animated than just simply photo, 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 photo. Origami, it's going to kind of fold it all together. You'll see what I mean in that little preview window. See, so it kind of has it there, and then it flips over and bends, and it's kind of cute. So you can check all of those out. Also, you'll see here there's a tab for music. Okay, so you can either pull music from iTunes. It does also come with songs. Because this is my demo account on my new computer, I don't actually have any music loaded. So the only music that's there right now is what comes with it. And so then at this point, you just hit, play, and it'll play. Sorry, there's no music. I just, if I play the music and my microphone picks up on it, it can come back to haunt me in legal later on. So you can see kind of what it's doing with the photos there. Kind of cute, right? So I'm going to just hit the escape key at this point on my keyboard to get out of that. Okay, so that was to create an instant slideshow. But what if you want to really tweak some of the different aspects? Maybe you want some text here and there. Maybe you want to change the order. Well, there's a couple different ways to do that. But the way that I think is best is you're going to select all the photos that you're working with. So this is a perfect example where Command A is your friend. But instead of hitting the play button this time, we're going to go to plus because we're going to add these photos to a dedicated slideshow. We're going to call it whatever we want. I'm going to just simply call it slideshow. Okay. Here at the bottom, we have the preview images. You can mix them up. If I want this photo to be first, I can just simply drag it and drop it to the number 1 position, and voila, there it is. Now you'll notice that this particular slide has text on it. Okay, it says slideshow. Now I can click into that and I can call whatever I want. Okay. The other thing I want to make sure that you are aware of is that if you go into one of these, like let's go into this one here. Okay. You can change it up by clicking this little plus symbol here at the bottom right corner. So see it says add text. We can click on that and we can put in whatever we want. Okay, another example, one I painted. If you want to change up the font at all, this is a good thing to be aware of. If you highlight the text, secondary click, font, show fonts. And there's your little window right there. So you can go through any font that's on your computer. All fonts. Whew, quite a few of them. Okay, so if you want to do that, you can put that there. There are limitations here, though, folks. So, for example, if I was to do this in something like iMovie, there is a little bit more ability to change where the text actually appears. Okay, so if you want to, if you want to fine tune it, that's where you're really looking more at iMovie on an extreme level, Final Cut Pro. But this is very simple. So if you want to just quickly put this together, this is how you can do it. Over here on the right-hand side, we have your major tools. Okay, we have these 3 buttons right here. The first one is the theme, same thing as the instant one that we were just doing, except in this case it's going to be saved. So let's switch it over to Ken Burns right now. You will see that as part of the theme, it may change the font. See how that font changed? Okay, that's part of the theme. Next one we have here is music. Once again, you can pick your own music from iTunes or use this. One thing I just want to mention very, very briefly about using music is that if you're going to export this slideshow and put it on social media, it is important it's important that you have copyright authorization to it. Here's the key deal on that. If you put it on Facebook, for example, if you have copyrighted music that is playing in the background, they will take it down. So don't do it. So you need copyright-free music if you are looking for a source, especially for those of you who might be using this for some sort of a business project. I can give you a link to one of my favorite sites, which is Audio Jungle. So that is an option where you can inexpensively purchase copyright-free music. You're paying for it, though. Just understand that. And the next is this clock right here. So there are two ways that you can time your slideshow. You can either fit it to the music. Okay, so if my song is 2.5 minutes long, it's going to make all of these slides so that when they're done, it will be 2.5 minutes. Or you can customize how long you want it to be, and it'll just kind of fade out. So that would be another option. I like to use scale photos to fit the screen. That way you don't have these black bars on the side. That's a pretty handy feature. So that's a little bit about that. Another feature here that I want to show you, this I tend to think of realtors as being a very good tool for you. A few clients that I've worked with have put TVs or monitors, I should say, in their windows. This button down here will loop it. So it's just going to play it over and over and over and over again. At that point, if you're going to do that, there's no point in having any music in the background. So that is another option there. You can also export your project as a video file. There's a couple different things that you can do here with this video file. To do this, go to export. It's here at the very top right corner. So you can call it whatever you want. Tell it where to put it. I would not put it in the movies folder. I would probably put it on the desktop, at least for now. Format. Okay, I don't know why it always defaults to 720p. 1080p is high definition. Things look better. You've put time and work into your slideshow. Let it look good. High definition, if you want to sync it, if you want to be able to play it on something like an iPhone or an iPad, you may want to consider checking that next option there to automatically send it to iTunes, because once it's in iTunes, at that point you can bring it over to your mobile device and hit save. Pretty easy. So that'll be either, I believe, it's an MOV file. If not, it might be an MP4. So that's how you create a slideshow. If you want to add something like voiceover, that's another example where you're going to need to use iMovie or Final Cut. Next thing I want to do is just go over briefly the sharing options here. So when you are done perfecting your work, whatever that may be, you're going to probably want to share it with your friends, whether it's through email, text message, Facebook, Twitter, something like that. Easiest way to do that is look up here at the very top right corner of photos for this icon. That is the share button. Click on it. You can send it to iCloud photo sharing. That's that option that I probably wouldn't recommend to most people. Mail, messages, AirDrop. AirDrop is a way to send it to nearby devices. Notes, Twitter, Facebook, Flickr, and if you have other apps that are compatible, it'll say more. Okay. So, and what is good to say about that, let's send this to email, for example, right now. When you're emailing photos, especially when you're emailing a lot of photos, in fact, I'm going to redo this. Hold on one second. I'm going to email a lot of photos. I'm going to select just a group here of photos. Okay, so those are all highlighted, share button, mail. I'm going to email someone a lot of photos here. I want you to notice something. See right here, it says image size. When you set it to actual, I don't remember how many photos we have here. I want to say it's like around 10. Okay, 23.2 megabytes. That is a great way to lose friends, especially if they go to open this email when they're on mobile. So what you want to do for most people, unless you're going to have it printed, is here where it says image size, just change it to large or medium. Now watch how dramatic a change it is, just even to large. So we go from 23.2 megabytes down to 2.4. I'm not good at math, but that's a pretty big difference. So you might want to consider doing that if you're going to email a lot of photos. My typical rule of thumb is keep it under 5 megabytes. So at that point, you're at less than half. All right, folks, so what I'm going to do at this point is I wanted to share with you some of my favorite photo apps on the iPhone, and then we're going to switch over to the iPad. So let's go into my little photography folder here, and you probably will recognize a few of these. We've done a few classes on some of these, and there's actually a page 2 here too. So we're going to start with Instagram. Instagram is a great little app. It's a social network technically, but frankly, I care much more about its filters than I do its social aspects, And what it will do is make your photos look kind of vintagey. It's a really cool app for that. It's free, of course, and like in this case, that photo's not actually that vivid. It's close, but this just really gives it that pop that it needs to look even better. Next one we have here is Simply HDR. This is really easy. All you do is load whatever photo you want. So here, let me kind of start from scratch. Let me hit Get Photo at the bottom left. I'm going to load a photo. And let me just go into All Photos here and grab, this one here. Okay, and you can see it just kind of randomly applies this filter to it, and it's incredible what it does. Now, for me, the magic of this app is really those dice that you see at the top right corner. So when you tap on those, it's just going to mix it up, and it's going to give it a totally brand new look every time you tap it. Pretty cool, right? So I love that app, and I believe, I could be wrong, I believe that app is free. So you can check that one out. Again, that's called Simply HDR. They may have a free version and a paid version, but if they do, I tend to think it's worth it. Tiny Scanner is a great handy app to have on your iPhone or iPad, and what it's used for is taking photos of documents, and what it will do is instantly turn them into a PDF. So if you're like me, for me to take a bunch of documents, throw them in my scanner, go to my computer, launch image capture, scan all of them. It's a lot of steps to do all of that. Tiny Scanner allows you to do the same thing from just your iPhone or iPad. It's worth it. Check it out. Brush Stroke will basically turn your photos into a painting. For example, you can see that. And to give you an idea, here, let me redo that photo from scratch. Okay, so I'm just going to tap on a photo that I have here in my photo library. I'll do a different one, actually. Do this one. Another drone shot. Okay, hit next at the top right, and it turns it into a painting, just like that. And you have all these filters here at the bottom of the screen. And so you can see you can go for kind of an oil effect. You can also scroll through these. You see we have a washed effect. I think the oil ones personally look the best. Medium. What's that one? Natural. Some of these definitely work better than others. Okay, but just a pretty cool one. Again, I'm going to leave on that one. That's my favorite. Okay, that is Brush Stroke. Movie Looks, I can't really demonstrate for you, but for those of you who enjoy shooting video, Movie Looks will basically apply filters to video. So it's a lot of what you would get with the filters on your iPhone, but it's for video. The next one is called Quick. Now, if you have never heard of it, you may have actually heard of it. Quick is used to be called Replay. And I don't know if the company got bought out, but it's the same app. So it's used for creating little kind of montage videos. You can either use it with photos, or you can use it, you can see some of the like quick little videos that I've done here. You know, you can create videos, or you can create slideshows. So it works with either photo or video. Next one we have here is Ink Cards. There's a little disclaimer on this one. I think they may be having some issues with their app right now, because I tried to order a couple of cards. What it essentially does is it allows you to have your photos turned into pretty amazing cards. They have really great templates, and far more templates than your Mac comes with, I should mention. So you can go here, for example, into Thinking of You, and they have just tons of templates just within that one category. And everything you see here is a placeholder, and you just kind of replace their photo with your photo. Okay? Now, for me, the problem was when it came time to check out. It for whatever reason, it kept crashing, so not sure if there's some sort of a problem going on there. The next one we have here is what you may have heard of. The Kardashians use this all the time. Not a fan. Facetune. I'm a fan of the app, not a fan of them. Okay, so looks pretty good, right? Yeah, that's because it's been touched up. So let me show you how this app works. When you go into it, you tap on this camera icon at the very top left corner and hit Open Photo. So you can go here into all of your photos. Let me just go into Selfies. Okay, and I will choose this one, me in a convertible in Palm Springs, California. And how's everything looking there? Of course, I picked like the one photo where my skin looks actually pretty good. Okay, different photo. Open Photo, Selfies. Let's do, I think that was the original one that I was going to use. Okay, well, close to it. So see that little zit right there on the side of my face? Well, in this case, it actually came in handy. What we're going to do is, if you look at the bottom of the app here, we have all these different little tools for retouching. So for example, you can whiten the teeth, you can smooth your skin, reshape things, patch, that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to tap on patch, tap on that zit. Oops, a little bit, I didn't do a very good job there. Let me redo that. Let me zoom in, patch, tap on it, and just show it where it wants. You want to pull the skin from. Voila, zit gone. You can also whiten your teeth by zooming in on the photo and tap on where it says whiten, and just kind of brush your teeth with your finger. Don't do it too much or else you look like a freak. Okay, that's a little bit of Facetune. We'll do a whole class on that coming up soon. Page 2, photo collage. A bunch of you had emailed me saying, what apps can we use to put text on photos? This is an example of one of them, and there are tons of different templates. So these are just kind of layouts here. Let me just go with a simple one. Let me go with, let's do this one here. So every time I tap on the plus, I'm going to go into my photo library and pick a photo to use. So, and then you can use your finger to kind of move it. You can zoom in on it. Okay, let's do... Okay, just like that. Then you can add other things like text, for example. You can see that there at the bottom right corner. You just tap in whatever you want. You can move it. You can change the font, okay, by tapping over here. So you can see how easy it is to create actually a really cool collage of images just using this one app. It's really, really cool. We'll do a class on that one too, I think, at some point. So that's called Photo Collage, and I believe that one is actually free. The next app we have here is called Shade Scout. I downloaded this for you ladies, not so much for the dudes. So what this allows you to do, hello everyone, see this is my little setup here, fancy, huh? So you see that crosshair at the very top? So you're going to put that over the color that you want. So let's say I'm looking for a new foundation, right? So I would put that over my skin tone and hit Scout Color at the bottom left corner. And it readjusts. And so all of these items that you see on the right-hand side are shades of foundation, in this case, that match my skin tone. So it's pretty cool for that. You can also use it, I think, with other things like lipstick and maybe blush. So you can check that one out. I believe that one's free too, Shade Scout. So the last app that we're going to be discussing today on the iPhone is called Face Swap Live. And forgive me, I had to record the audio to this portion in post-production because the app doesn't play well with our audio systems. So what Face Swap Live does is it puts someone else's face over your face. For example, here's Donald Trump. I'm sorry, that's a screaming baby. I always mix those two up. Here's me as a skeleton man. There's a ton of different celebrities you can put on top of your faces. You can also search for people and you can put their faces over yours. It's hysterical. It's a perfect app for a party, or if you're at a bar, if you're with friends and family, be sure to check it out. It is hilarious. So check that out. It's called Face Swap Live. It's free and it's in the App Store. Right, everyone, so we've switched over to my iPad, and I just have a few apps I wanted to cover here, not actually everything that you see here. The first one is Dreamscope. Dreamscope is a great app. It's very simple to use, and these are examples of what other people have made with Dreamscope. It takes your photos, and it applies these incredible filters to them. Some of them are a little bit odd, but some of these are, you would not necessarily look at this and know that this was a filter that's applied. It might look like someone actually really custom created this and took hours to do it. So that's Dreamscope. It's an awesome app. I love it. It's fun to play with. It's free. You can get it in the App Store. The next one I just want to mention is Lightroom. Lightroom, made by Adobe. The iPad version is phenomenal. It's really great. If you have an iPad Pro, if you have the Apple Pencil, it's one of the best apps for using the Apple Pencil, as well as another one that we're about to cover. Color Pop, that basically, when I've tried to run that app, it tends to kill the video feed, so I have to just describe it to you. If you look at the icon there, it's a pretty accurate representation of what it does. It takes your photo, turns it black and white, and then it allows you to paint back certain parts with color. So you have this black and white and maybe one or two colors in the actual photo. Pixelmator, some of you have heard me talk about Pixelmator before. They make a version for the Mac as well as the iPhone and iPad. It's great for just adding text to photos and doing some basic touch-up. I tend to like the Mac version better than the iPad version, but that's just because it's far more capable. And then we have ArtRage. ArtRage has been one of my favorite apps for a very long time. And essentially what this allows you to do is it allows you to paint on your iPad. And actually, I wish I had my Apple Pencil with me here at this point. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this image, okay, into ArtRage. I'm going to show you exactly what it can do. And if for any of you who should ever see my home, you will see these hanging on the walls because I've had some of these turned into canvases. So what I like to do in ArtRage is, see this palette knife on the left-hand side that I've just tapped on here? So imagine that the image in front of you is actually oil, but it's perfectly laid out. Okay, what you can do with this is you can kind of zoom into your photo and you can start to apply these brushstroke textures to it. And so it's really giving you that effect that it looks like this is actually oil. So the idea is that when you're done, you don't want it to look like like a photo. You want it to look like a painting. And you really just kind of take your time with this and it can leave you with a really amazing, amazing image. If you really zoom in here, you can see there is texture here. If you're ever looking to have your photos printed on canvas, the two that I tend to recommend people to are either Shutterfly is pretty decent, and Cafe Press. I like Shutterfly better as a company, but I've been very happy with Cafe Press's quality. So there you go. And I'm not going to do an entire painting for you right now, but it's a really phenomenal little app. And the key thing here is don't rush it. So don't do exactly what I'm doing right now, because then it just looks like a 5-year-old did it. But you can kind of see the idea of where it's coming along. Okay? When you're done, it's phenomenal. And those are just a few of my favorite photo-related apps on the iPad. Well, everyone, I sincerely hope you enjoyed this class. Be sure to check out those premium classes on our website. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that by clicking that little button right there. Maybe it's there. It might be there. It might be there. I'm not really sure. I'm standing in front of a green screen right now. Oh well. Please hit that little like button if you haven't already done so. Leave us a comment on either our YouTube page or our Facebook page, and we'll see you next time. This is David A. Cox with Tech Talk America. Class dismissed.